It's the most famous woman in the world. Her Royal Majesty has been in the public eye for just 86 years. But what is life like for Queen Elizabeth II behind palace doors? A new documentary is showing us the Queen's private side.
Join ITV
She is a symbol. She has to be all things to all people.
for rare and privileged access
Tony Blair said it's the only private meeting you ever have.
to the world's most famous sovereign.
How are you supposed to be enjoying this now?
From inside the palaces
This is terrific. How did you do this?
and from her closest family.
The sort of extraordinary wall of sound. I think the Queen was very moved by that.
Incredible access to the Queen, her homes, her family, her employees. And I spoke with the man who made that new documentary, Daily Mail journalist Robert Hardman, a short time ago. Robert Hardman, wow, what an insight. How was this access obtained?
Well, we've been very lucky, Layla. It follows a book I wrote, Our Queen, which was written in the build-up to the Diamond Jubilee. And as the Diamond Jubilee started, we were granted access to, as it were, film a portrait of the monarch, but film it in probably one of the greatest years of her reign, through her Diamond Jubilee years. So we don't just see the high points of the Jubilee, although those, of course, are great, and that famous, that wonderful moment with James Bond. But we also see all the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and we were very lucky to talk to a lot of the royal family too. She
maintains quite a schedule, doesn't she, the Queen? A very, very busy lady.
Yeah, she's the longest-lived monarch in history, and yet last year, 2012, she undertook well over 400 public engagements.
Now, paint a picture for us of what life is like when Her Majesty does get to relax at Balmoral. How does one spend one's downtime?
Well, she's pretty busy even up there. I mean, we were amazed to see all the posts coming up from Buckingham Palace. At one point, this footman carries this enormous bundle of mail into the Queen's Lady-in-Waiting. So even when she's on holiday in the Highlands, there's still the usual business of being a monarch continues. But it's very much a place for sort of relaxation, just for recharging the batteries. And one of the first things that struck me was, as I walked up the drive, in fact, was the fact these signs everywhere saying, "Beware the squirrels." The Queen's a big fan of the red squirrel, which is in danger of extinction. So there's a very well looked after red squirrel population. When she's in the Highlands, it is a completely different atmosphere to Buckingham Palace. It's very it's calm. There's walking, shooting, fishing, all that kind of stuff that Queen Victoria used to get up to. But I think just for the Queen, there's the opportunity just to unwind, just to take the dogs for a walk, and a slight change of pace, and particularly after her Diamond Jubilee summer. The summer we filmed at Balmoral, I think, was particularly special to her.
One of the extraordinary pictures that we've seen come out of this access is the Queen sitting or standing before her fireplace, in which is a tiny bar heater that you would find in any pensioner's flat. No one would surely begrudge the Queen a roaring fire.
No, absolutely. I mean, if she wanted a roaring fire, I'm sure she could have one. But I think she takes the view that it's a very large fireplace. It would take someone a lot of time to put all the logs in and light it. And so she takes the view that if it's not particularly cold, she'll get by with a bar on her fire, thanks very much. And if you look in the corner, slightly off our camera, but I was standing there looking around the room, there's this extraordinary old TV. It's the sort of TV you couldn't get rid of on eBay, frankly. I mean, I mean, I've got one a bit like it. People laugh at me, but she's very happy with that kind of thing. If it works, why mend it?
How approachable is the Queen?
She's very approachable, but she's not approachable at all, in a sense, if you're a journalist with a microphone, because the Queen doesn't do interviews. She's never given an interview. But on the other hand, we've been at close quarters with her for a whole year, and she was very helpful at times. I mean, if she knows that you're trying to get a particular shot, she's very conscious of where the light's coming from, of which angle she needs to look at. So, you know, she's a great pro, and as you'll see in the programme, I mean, she's you know, whether she's doing her Christmas broadcast or appearing in front of billions of people at the Olympics, she knows what she needs to do. She's a very accomplished world monarch.
You spoke to a lot of people who work with or for the Queen. What do some of her staff say about what she's like to work for?
Well, we were very lucky because one of her serving private secretaries, and her private secretaries have never given an interview on television ever. One of them was good enough to talk to us, Edward Young, who was in fact one of the people behind the not just the Jubilee, but the Bond appearance at the Olympics. And what they all say is that she is a very hands-on boss. She may be 86, she may be the longest-lived monarch we've ever had, but she's still very much runs the business, runs the ship as usual. Nothing's changed in that regard. And we spoke to her family. We were very lucky. We spoke to the Prince of Wales, who was very amusing as he looked back on some of the events of the year. And as he says in that trailer there, the Queen was very moved by the reaction. I think, despite the fact she is the most famous woman in the world, and there is really nobody else like her, I think she was genuinely touched at the outpouring of affection last summer. And that is sort of reflected through the film. There is a real sense of excitement on her part.
Did she appear to enjoy her Bond moment?
We weren't able to ask her about it. Certainly the rest of the family did. When we talked to Princess Beatrice and the Countess of Wessex, Princess Royal, and all her staff. I mean, it was one of those moments. But what came through is that, as far as she was concerned, it was fun. But what's the fuss? The Olympics are coming. I need to play my part. And as we'll see in the film, she's very conscious of the fact that she is the first. London is the first city in the world to hold 3 Olympics, and that her father and her grandfather before her opened an Olympic Games. So she's following in a family tradition in this. Except George VI did not appear with James Bond. It was 1948.
Well, thank you very much for sharing some of those moments with us, and we look forward to seeing much more.
Thanks very much, Leila.